Hi everybody, it's Alisamurray here again for another Martini Talks, and I'm hanging out with my good friend Angela, and we have been friends for years and years, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with her lately, and we have the same birthday.
We do.
And we are both Pisces, and we are both artists, and we love our sparkles. And we just made a gorgeous martini, and you'll have to check that out in one of the other episodes. It's citrus and Buddha's hand infused with raspberry, perfect for the holidays, for gift times with your family and hanging out and a gathering and all that sort of stuff. So talk to me today about you. What's been going on with you? You, my dear, have to do virtual school and work from home.
I do.
And how's all that going?
It's going good. I think we just have to be really patient with each other right now. It's a bit stressful.
Yeah.
I work from home. I support my husband.
Yep.
Consulting, healthcare, technology,
Yep.
2 kids,
Yep.
and virtual school.
Yep.
It's a bit stressful.
It's a lot.
I'm a little crazy. This helps.
This does help. Yes.
Time
Cheers
with
to the
you.
yes.
Cheers.
Thank
Thank you to this.
Yes.
You're a wonderful friend.
Oh,
That
thank
helps.
you. Thank you.
Text me all the time and check on me. That helps. Just saying, are you okay? How are you doing?
Well, and all my heart stuff, you were right by my side.
Oh.
You know.
Well, I was worried about you.
I know.
But it just seems like your texts come at the most perfect times. Like the
Oh.
timing is just always impeccable. It's like sometimes I'm having the craziest day and I'm not as responsive as I should be on text. And I'll get a text from you that says, "Hey, Ladybug, what's going on?" And I just want to say, I want to flood you with 1,000 different things, but I don't. But just getting the text is always helpful.
Oh.
You guys have no clue. She's a wonderful friend.
Oh,
Everybody
thank you.
knows her as the photographer extraordinaire and the YouTube queen, but she's really a phenomenal lady.
Thank you.
Great friend, great
Thank
friend.
you.
I'm so happy to have you in my life.
Thank you. I'm delighted to have you in mine as well.
Oh.
And I hope to grow old together.
Me too.
I
Wouldn't
picture
that
us,
be cool?
I know. I picture us with like these old easels and like Matisse with a long stick and a bird on my shoulder.
The
and,
readers.
you know, trying to paint and not being able to see anymore like Monet and Matisse. But, you know, we'll be like, oh. And maybe the boys will already have gone to live with baby Jesus, and they'll
Yes.
just be the 2 of us. And
Yes.
you'll have to learn to live with a cat, because you know I'm not going to ever not have a cat. But coming over and hanging out for days at a time, and we can make more of these, and not even remember whether it's morning. It's orange juice. It's okay.
That's why I love you. You don't judge me. You know that I've told 1,000 potluck jokes on Facebook about cats and potlucks and this sort of thing. You know cats are not my favorite
I
thing.
know.
But for some reason, when I come over here, I just, I love the cats.
Well, you love William.
I can't
That was the
explain
thing.
it.
I mean,
I
really.
do love her cats. I'm going to go on record and say, I know a lot of people know that I've banned a couple of potlucks in my previous life. In some of my corporate gigs, just in leading different teams, I've banned the teams from having potlucks. I've just said, we're going to get it catered, or I'll give you a stipend, and you can go have your own function
Thing,
for your
yeah.
own team,
Yeah.
just to avoid potlucks, because I feared cats jumping on counters.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And yes.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, I'm not ready to get a cat,
Not yet.
but I do love your cat.
But I will tell you something.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who've been around me who were dog people.
I know. I'm
And
a dog person.
I am too. I grew up with dogs, but
Yeah.
Brian grew up with cats.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have to take a cat out to go to the bathroom, and you can leave a cat for 3 days with a clean litter box and a lot of food, and they'll just use what they need.
Mm-hmm.
They don't gobble it up like the dogs do and then starve the rest of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Cats are so much easier.
They are easier.
Mm-hmm.
I think my level of discomfort with cats has just been primarily because they jump on everything. But I come over here and you would never know I have any aversion to cats.
Well, and you've seen William.
And
William
I've seen
doesn't do
William.
anything but
When
lay
I came
around.
in today, Angie greeted me at the car, and I was like, "Hey, honey."
Yeah, she was laid out on her belly, on her back, just giving you
like
her belly,
giving
like
me all kinds of
totally
love. I was
love.
like, "I love you too, honey."
Yeah, total
they're
love.
cute. I tell 1,000 cat jokes, but I love your cats though.
Thank
I really
you.
do, and they're beautiful, and they're super clean. So.
And they're sweet.
And they're not on the counters.
No, they're not on the counters. And
They're
the
not
other
in the
thing is that
kitchen.
they're not in the kitchen. And the
They're
other
not.
thing is that they're very sweet with the children.
Mm-hmm. They are.
You know, in
Mhm.
fact, just this week, we have a client that has a cat,
Mm-hmm.
and the children came in for photos for Christmas, and Sasha was out in the garden with them, and they were hanging out, brother and sister, just having a blast, taking pictures, and she showed up, and and she was in the pictures, and she reached over and grabbed her, to pet her, and she did the perfect tail, the perfect look at the camera, and Mama bought that for her house. And Sasha's I've sold 30 by 40 canvases with Sasha in the picture. She's a money maker for me, because families who have cats, when they take pictures in the garden with her, she's so sweet with the kids. That reminds them of their cat, and they don't want to travel with a cat, because people that have cats, you don't travel with a cat. So they get to have the cat picture.
I never knew that.
Yeah, cats don't travel.
They do not.
They do not. But the dogs
They don't
all
take
come.
flights.
No, they don't take flights. All of my families with dogs bring me the dogs.
Really?
But all of my families with cats photograph with my cats.
So cats don't get in the car?
They don't like it at all.
Oh.
I've never met a cat. I've had cats for a long time. I've never seen one. The only one that I think might be okay, what's the name of the guy that sings, that was on The Voice? He's a big guy. He's got a cat that he takes with him everywhere he goes.
Terry Crews?
I'm crazy. Baby, I'm crazy.
Oh, CeeLo.
CeeLo has a cat that travels with him all the time.
You got to be
That is
kidding
the
me.
only cat I've ever seen that's been outside of its house.
So only dogs catch flights.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, usually, we've had one person. Do you remember Roseanne Rogers?
Mm-mm.
She was on the news a long time ago.
I do remember her.
Okay, so she brought me her cat Louis. It's named after Louis Vuitton, of course. And the cyclorama in the studio where we have it so that you can put a big family in there, and you've got no differentiation between the ceiling and the floor. Louis got in that corner and stayed there angry because he'd been taken out of his house, and it took us forever to get her cat out of that corner because it's sealed up. The ends are the only things that are open, and so that cat ran in there and hid. No, cats don't like to travel.
Well, I've learned something about cats today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
And then this week, of course, I sent you that text with that horrible snake situation that we had, and blessed William's sweet heart for killing it.
I have changed my stance on cats because of all these snake shenanigans around your house. I can't take it. I am really terrified of snakes.
I don't like them.
I'm a city girl, but I do love the beauty of the country. I love coming out here to visit you. But when I come in from the truck, I'm really terrified sometimes.
Yeah.
When you talk about snakes, like the last time I was here, I brought my kids to shoot with Alisa.
Auntie
I always
A.
say Auntie A.
Yeah.
And there was a buck. A buck running down the
I know.
street.
We've got and they eat all the ding dang figs. I have hung these little. You guys have watching me on the channel. You see it in the garden segment. These Irish Spring smelling bars that hang in the figs because they eat the figs at the level that I'm at. I'm only 4'11".
Mm-hmm.
So by the time that I get to the fig tree, they've eaten everything that I can pick. And I can't get on a ladder and get way up high in the fig tree to get the figs. So those figs just go to waste or go to the birds. So yeah, it's not unusual at all to have a buck galloping through the front yard,
It was terrifying for me. I wanted to grab my kids and jump in the car.
And
I was terrified. I was terrified. And so I love it. I love it from a distance, but to see a huge buck galloping down your street is just
It's
so
so
foreign
funny.
to me.
Yeah.
It's pretty hilarious.
Well,
and
I'll
then
tell
the
you,
snakes.
sister, the very funniest thing about being in this neighborhood was the morning that Brian got up to take the kids to school, and there was a 7-foot alligator out here in front of the house in the middle of the street.
Why are you telling me this?
Well, because she was moving from Thompson Lake to House Lake. There's 2 lakes in this neighborhood.
No, but you can't tell city slickers like me. What am I supposed to do?
We just had to stay there and wait for her to move.
But what if I come one day to take
Oh
pictures,
no, you
or I
won't
come
see
to
her.
see you?
I haven't seen her
I'm
in
going to
years.
be down the street. What if I'm coming and I see this alligator, a 7-foot alligator? What am I supposed to do
Call
with
me.
that?
Just call me.
Migrating from one lake. She's going from her winter home to
Winter
her
home
summer
to her summer home. That's crazy.
What am I supposed to do?
Right, just call me. Just text me.
Okay.
Well, we just stayed and waited till she moved, and she moved. But there's a lot of wildlife for sure.
But what is she eating? Surely
the
she's not
carp, the fish that are in the pond.
eating. Okay.
I think it was actually the year that there was a lot of drought, and she was trying to get to where the water levels were high enough that the fish were there for her to eat. But she's not eating anything but fish. I mean, she's not eating anything. Well, maybe big snakes, which we'd love for her to eat. We like big snakes to go away. We don't like great big snakes. And I'd rather have an alligator than a big snake because you can at least see the alligator coming. Sometimes those snakes are hiding up in the trees. And that's a whole nother thing. Sorry to have scared you again. I'm sorry.
What do you want me to do when I
I
come
don't know.
back? What do you want me to do? How do I get in the house and have some peace? This is going to be my office, and I have to come into this space and feel safe when I have to get
Right.
away from my husband and my
Right.
kids and take a nap.
Right.
How can I feel safe? You had a rat snake in the house.
Yeah.
We got a 7-foot alligator.
Well, I haven't seen her in a long time.
Snakes in the trees.
Yeah.
We had those spiders.
Yeah.
Remember the spiders?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that umbrella came. There was a big wind, and the umbrella toppled over and tore her whole entire home down.
I'm talking about the spider that bit you.
Oh, that one. Yeah. That's a
That
whole.
one.
Yeah. That's a
Yes.
whole nother hot mess. I still don't know what that was. I don't even know. You know, you're out there in the wild blue yonder, and stuff just gets you. The hornet's the one that I'm still mad about, because I was headed out behind the pool, and a hornet came out and hit me, and then hit me again, and I've still got dots on my stomach from having that happen, which
Well,
is
I tell
crazy.
you what, I think that it is amazing what you've done out here.
Thank
Despite
you.
all the wildlife roaming around, the rats, not the rats,
No.
the snakes. The snakes
Snakes.
eat the rats and
Right.
keep the rats
Right.
away, right?
Right.
Yes, I think it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The kids love coming out here. I think all your clients say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a very different relationship with my people that are they're not my clients. Y'all are my family.
Oh.
And you know that.
Yes.
And
yes.
I've gotten to the point finally now in my career, quote unquote, that I've always wanted that. Like Daddy had that. Daddy had that with his patients. You know, women would come see him, and then those kids would grow up that he delivered, and then they'd see him for their OBGYN stuff. And Uncle Jim was a photographer in Tyler for over 30 years, and he would photograph a family, and then he'd photograph the children when they got married and had families. And I grew up with that life cycle concept of taking care of people, and I don't see my people in my family as anything but an extension of my family. Like, they're not clients. That's why it was so easy to start planning your travel and helping you with your real estate.
Oh yeah. Natural.
Because it's just part of me taking care of you. What can I give you that I know how to do? Like, what is it that I'm able to offer you? And it's a natural thing for me to give. And like promoting business on the YouTube channel, or teaching the children how to garden, or teaching the parents how to cook, because there's a lot of parents that don't know how to cook, or talking about entrepreneurship. I mean, and you're the same way. I mean, you just got another degree.
I did.
And you're like me. You're never satisfied with just stopping. I mean, there's always another thing to achieve. There's always another goal to set. There's always another thing. People said, "Oh my God, why are you in travel?" I'm like, "Don't you make enough money in photography that you should just be happy with photography?" I'm like, because my clients need to go on a good vacation, and I know where to put them. You know what I mean? Like, it's what can I help you with? And so it's like you. I mean, it's like we both of us have that. Yeah, I mean, I have a degree, and yeah, I've got a successful business, but I'm not done. And I've always got something else that I want to do. And it's like Leonardo da Vinci. I've always wanted to be like him.
Oh yeah.
Like, not just one thing.
No, he was multidimensional.
I love.
He's great.
He's my
great.
favorite.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his work in Europe. His work in progress. Some of his pieces in progress, I've seen those. But yeah, you're right. For me, I try not to limit myself. I just think about, what do I want to do next? If I want to be a pilot tomorrow, then I'm going to start pilot school tomorrow. I just think about, it's just, I don't know, I just think when we're here for a short period of time. It's important to evolve and to anything that you believe you can do, or anything that you are really passionate about. I just think that you have to get serious. You have to be intentional about pursuing it. And I've just always been that type of person that if I'm really passionate about something, I just go ahead and do it. I don't have any concept of time.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, when I went back for my MBA at Syracuse, I really thought that I was doing it late, because I had so many friends who did it so
early
in life. And when I went back, I knew why I did it at that particular time in my life. I knew I was prepared to do it. Emotionally and intellectually, I was ready to do it. And I was ready to be a student again. And I was also ready to be a teacher. And I had the opportunity to do that. And I think that goes for anything you try and do in life. If I decided I wanted to take up photography, I'd have to position myself as a student again. And I think we have to be lifelong learners. And so I tell my husband all the time, and I tell my kids all the time, you should never get to a place in your life where you can't humble yourself and be a student.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best feeling in the world to be a student. I was so happy to go back to school. I did pretty well too.
Yeah,
But
you did.
I was so happy to just learn again.
I
That's
love
the
it.
best feeling in the world.
I know.
Like you've been doing all this stuff with the YouTube channel. You're the YouTube channel queen now. That's what I hear in the streets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was like, my friend, really?
That's awesome.
You know, but no, but I think it's always fun when you figure something else. Like for me, when everybody always asks me what's next, and I always say, I just want to get back to my first passion, which is art. I want to be able to paint without being interrupted.
Right.
Just
No
for
kidding.
A few hours a
No
day.
kidding.
I want to sculpt.
Right.
So I've always wanted to do bust, like the big bust, the head, and I love cheekbones.
Well, when you get
and
ready to
features.
do all of that, we need to do that together because I did
Yes.
a lot of that in art school at SCAD,
Yes.
and I haven't been able to get back to that since I've been in Texas. And I've been in Texas since 1991. So
yeah.
I've been in Texas a long time. But painting, obviously, you and I have got that together. But
Yeah.
but Daddy, I'll tell you something. Daddy was, a doctor, and
Mhm.
he was also a painter, and Mother was too. And he always said, oh, for Christmas I want paints, and I want brushes, and I want stuff, and we get him the art supplies, and it goes stick in the closet. He'd go back to delivering babies and taking care of people. Never did it. And then he died. And he didn't do it. And so that's one of the things that's my driving kind of force, is that if I believe it, I believe God gave me the dream to have it.
Mhm.
He didn't put that in my head unless
That's
it was
right.
absolutely supposed to be mine.
Mhm.
If I can see it done, which I can usually see it done,
Mhm.
where that end is, I just have to work my way back to how to get to that
Mhm.
end. And that's what I feel like with everything, and with painting too. It's like I really know, like I've always been a painter. I've always painted. Hell, was almost finished up with a degree in fine art from SCAD before we
Mhm.
moved to Houston. But I, like you, it's like I would like to have maybe, I don't know, a painting a month done.
Mhm.
Not look at that last nude that I did in 2015 was the
Mhm.
latest time that I actually did a
Mhm.
finished painting,
Mhm.
because life's busy and you're busy and hurricanes happen and COVID happened, and then businesses change and you've got to figure out and pivot and figure it out,
Mhm.
and then another year goes by and it didn't get done. So one of my goals for 2021 is going to be to teach painting. The reason why I'm teaching painting
Mhm.
is because if I have to teach children how to paint as Auntie A,
Mhm.
I'm going to be painting, right? So as I'm doing the teaching of the painting, I'm going to actually accomplish the goal of having the time set to do the painting.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what's happened with this garden. I mean, like, I started the garden. I've always had a garden. I've never had a garden like this. But this garden has been a lifesaver for me, because you're out talking to the butterflies and you're talking to God, and you are not with people, and you're not wearing a mask, and you're able to just be and think, and the news is not on in the background because you're outside. Plus you're soaking up all that vitamin C. And girl, do you know, when I get in the bathtub after I've been pruning tomatoes, the bathtub water is as green as grass. I am covered in
Wow.
chlorophyll.
Wow.
I am soaked up with goodness. And I didn't know that, right? You don't know that stuff as a gardener until you're out doing it. But I never thought I could grow all that stuff. I never knew I had it in me.
It's
You know?
it's something to behold.
But you've got to.
You've got
I
to
just
put-
said I see that goal.
Mhm.
And then I had no idea that people needed to have me help them with that. I mean, I had people call me all over the world. I've got more people listening to me on the podcast in France, and on the YouTube in Ireland, people that I don't even know. Like, you're touching people's lives you don't even know. And whenever you do what you're doing, and not only just parenting, of course, I'll never be done parenting because the kids are always going to be my kids, but like, they're not little like yours are. But you know what I mean? Like, when you're parenting, you always, I'm saying this, and it's going in one ear and out the other. And then, I'm working at this job, or I'm doing this thing, and is it really touching people's lives? Am I making a difference? You wonder, right? You wonder. And then something sparks and God sends you a sign and says, nope, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
I tell my husband all the time, I said, God does not give us the gifts he gives us just for for us to preserve for ourselves and
Right.
for our family. It's for everyone else. It's for His glory, right? And so I think that you have touched so many, but what a lot of people don't know, and I know this because I'm so close to you, is you are very kind
Oh,
and you're very humble.
thank
And even though you've built several successful businesses, I think most of your clients can attest, and your dear friends like myself
you. You
can
are.
attest to the fact that you are just a wonderful, sweet person. People
Thank
have no
you.
idea how kind she is. She has a very given spirit, a very given heart, and so I think that you're also very approachable and very warm. And when you teach, we know that you have a passion for what you do, whether it be the arts, the photography, whatever you're doing. We know that you're passionate about it. So I think that always comes through, and people see that, people feel it. It's almost intuitive, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people know
When it's fake.
when it's fake and when it's genuine.
Yeah.
And you teach with a lot of passion, so I know that the art thing will be just a natural progression of what you've been doing for years.
I've had too many little children come see me and
I know.
hug on me this year, even though we're not supposed to be hugging, and they're like,
Yeah.
Auntie A, I want to learn how to
Mhm.
draw. Auntie A, I want to learn colored pencils.
Mhm.
Auntie A, I want to learn painting. Auntie A, I want to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I don't know when I'm going to have time to do that. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make time to do
You
that.
make time to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. I think that if God gives you the vision, you will have the time to do it. That's what I believe. I hope I'll get back to painting sometime soon. It's kind of crazy. You know, we're in a lot of transition right now,
Yeah.
moving and everything else. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm
for
pleased
that.
to
I'm
also
excited.
be her realtor, photographer, and travel agent, best friend, share birthday.
We do the same birthday. Yes, different years. I have to say that.
Yeah, she's younger than me, and that's okay. That's okay, because here's the deal. Next year I turn 50 again. I decided this year, because I spent the whole day in bed. Blood pressure was too high when I woke
was
up,
terrible.
and then it was too low when I went to bed. And I just parted the sea. I said, I am not having it. I always thought 02-2020. I turned 50. What a cool date. 02-20-2020.
Me too.
What a cool date. That's like a 007 date. I thought, what a cool date.
And then it was the worst
And
year
then it was
ever.
the worst year ever.
It was like year of the Jumanji. Everybody's
just
stuck in the
crazy.
Jumanji game.
Crazy.
Everyone.
So, yeah, no. Next year, I will be 50 again.
I will not be turning 50 this year. Even though I was scheduled to turn 50 in 2021, I will not be turning 50 in 2021. I will be turning 49 because I feel like 49 because I feel like I did not get to use this year as I planned to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So I will be 49 in 2021. And it
Well, maybe
seems
I can just back it up.
I'm just going to back it up.
Maybe I'll be 49 with you, and then we'll jump into 2021 and be 50 together.
Now that works.
That
How
works.
about you, myself, and my husband, T?
Yeah.
Why don't we all turn 50 together?
That sounds like a great plan.
Yes, because we all have the same birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think after the year we've had, we can do that.
I think we can do that
We can
too.
just call it.
Yes. I think so.
And
I
deem
think
it
that
so.
works.
Right? It doesn't really matter if people don't like it or not. We're just going to do it anyway. So,
Has there ever been a time where you thought about pivoting away from photography? Because
No.
okay, that's good to know. It's not because I'm being selfish and I want you to shoot my kids forever, because I do,
right.
and I am selfish.
There
in
are
that
people that have
respect.
asked me. A lot
Yes.
of people. They
Yes.
get a little nervous.
I get nervous.
They get a little nervous.
Like, what if she gets bored and she's tired of shooting our kids? I mean,
Now, what
But I
have
am
I done?
curious.
What have I done? Here's what I've done. So, I have decided, right, that I wanted to take care of the people in my life that want to be with me. So, I've stopped chasing anybody that doesn't make their appointments. I've stopped chasing anybody that doesn't text me back. I've not done anything at all whatsoever to try to bring in new business. If they find me, they're supposed to be with me. I had a newborn come in, text me this morning before you came to see me. She's come on a referral from 3 people in her family that I photographed for years. She's maternity, first year of life, wants to do the whole thing. I had another family that was supposed to see me this week. Cousin died of COVID. They're pushed it out another month. They saw me at the hospital because, you know, the L&D wings, all the pictures are in there named after me and all that, all the newborn work. And her husband found me and they were like, you're our artist. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not taking new clients, but I'll take you when you come to me. but I'm not actively running around chasing people trying to get business, because my job is to take care of who God's put in my life.
Amen.
The way that I best can, whether it be promote them business, whether it be helping with a vacation. But I love photography. I mean, like, because, you know, Mom got killed when I was little.
Yes.
And photography is all you have left. So I will always maintain. I mean, I'm a diamond girl. You know I am. I love my diamonds. I love fancy stuff. But at the end of the day, what you leave for your children is a legacy of photography.
Absolutely.
That's how they know who they were as a child, and how they see their family is through photography. And for me, that's a larger gift that's even the Nana's hands. Remember the picture of Nana's hands? 101, you know, with James Edward's feet. And that is one of the most important photos that I've ever taken, because those are the hands I played with in church. Those are the hands that I held when Mother was killed. Those are the hands that comforted me as a child. And I've captured them with James Edward's feet forever. And although he'll never know her, because he died, she died before he was able to know her, I've created a beautiful piece of art that she cradles his feet. She welcomes him to the next generation. Without her, he wouldn't be here. It means everything to me, the photography. So yes, I'm a painter like you, but the photography is like a very significant part of my soul as an artist.
Absolutely. You know, growing up, I was always taught, like yourself, my father, my uncle, my brother, I have a half-sister, several relatives, especially on my dad's side of the family, my paternal side, that can draw. They are phenomenal artists, but they all chose different paths. So I have a half-sister who has her PhD in psychology. I have an uncle who's a pilot. He was a pilot in the military, and then came stateside and flew commercially for many years. But he could actually do the most beautiful artwork. And I always ask them, okay, if we have this gift in the family, why is no one pursuing, you know, artistry as a full-time? Like, why is no one trying to be a full-time
Artist.
painter or artist?
Right.
Or like, what? Because it doesn't pay.
Right.
So I was always raised that, yes, you have the ability. We know you have the ability because we have the ability.
Right.
But that doesn't pay. That's going to be your hobby.
Well, that's the reason why I'm pre-law.
Yeah.
Daddy pushed me hard. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and it was understood. There was not any question that I was going to get a degree, and I was going to be in something that was going to make money.
Exactly.
And pre-law was where I needed to be, because I could run my mouth, you know that, and I can argue if you put me in a corner. if I'm arguing for something I believe in and passionate about, I can defend it for sure.
Oh.
And I did not like the sight of blood. So Daddy was either, you're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a doctor, and I was like, lawyer. And then, of course, the photos of Victoria made it to the magazine cover. And I never went. I mean, my degree's in psychology, but I never went back.
Yeah.
But, you know, he thought it was a pipe dream. He thought it was a pipe dream. You know, it's like, even when it was the beginning of it, the photography was the beginning of it, before he died. And he never saw me do. I mean, he sees me from heaven, obviously, but like he never got to see. And I always think it's so funny, because he has that engraved face of his in the foyer at the hospital where he delivered all those babies and was chief of surgery for all those years. And he was an important person in the community. And for him, it was lawyers and doctors, right?
Yes.
And then for him to not physically be in the moment with me when they named the L&D wing. And I'm in the same L&D wing that he is in North Carolina. I am in Houston with my art as an artist, and have been able to make a successful living as an artist.
How surreal is that?
It's just crazy, full circle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like father, like daughter. And I know that he's proud, but he for sure had no idea, because he was so like, you will never believe this. You know how you get done with your school and you take personality tests to tell you what you're supposed to be,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I get done, graduate with honors, and he's like, you have to go see this person to like take this personality test to see what you're going to be good at, and must make sure that you should be in law or whatever, not business or whatever, right? So I take this test, and this woman comes out, and God rest her soul, it was on 1960, we were living on the other side of Houston, and she comes out, and she's got this very solemn face, and she looks at me, she goes, I'm sorry, but you're not ever going to be able to work for anybody else. I've taken all of the answers to these questions that you've answered. You're an employer. You're not an employee. You are a business owner. you are not to go work for someone else. The best advice I can give you is to figure out what you would want to do for free and go do it. And she sent me out of her little office, and I remember calling Daddy. He was still up. Victoria Ann wasn't even born, and Daddy was like mad. He was like, I cannot believe this woman did not tell you, put you and place you in some sort of a job where you could figure out whether you wanted to be, you know, in a law firm or whether you wanted to work in a corporate office. And I was like, she says I'm not supposed to be any of those places. I'm supposed to be in charge of my own stuff. And my job is to figure out what that stuff is.
Right.
And he was livid. He was so mad. But if you look at it, if she hadn't have done that,
She was spot on.
she was a God wink.
Yeah.
She was a God wink.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she hadn't done it, because I always made A's, right? So if you put me in corporate America, I'm going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rise. I'm going to go through the ranks and do whatever. I'm going to do that for sure. But she never gave me the chance because she had the strength to say to me, no, ma'am, not for you. Figure out your own stuff. You'll be okay. And I don't know how many people she told that to in a week's time, but I've taken a lot of personality tests in my day and age, and I'm a high D, high A.
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many of us in the population. We're not easy to get along with, but we're really good at getting things done. So it's like you, and it's like we have a team of people that help us get there. I'm not always the one driving the car to get there, like, and getting the gas and packing the car, but I've got the vision.
But we can, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's incredible. I think it's funny how you and I have come together. We are so similar. It's a bit scary. But I will tell you this. When I first had Isla, and I brought her to you when she was 5 days old for you to shoot her, I never realized we would be so close. Do you know why?
Why?
This is the first time I'm ever telling her this.
Why?
When you were shooting Isla, you were like, T, she is so light. She is so white. This baby is so white. Like, you knew. So to give you guys a little bit of background, you knew Terrence first.
I did.
You knew Terrence first in his previous life. So then I come along. I'm the new wife, right? So here comes, you shoot my maternity pictures. We get along great, but really your loyalty is really to T because you knew him. Yeah. And that's how we are. We're both Pisces. We're born on the same day. Our loyalty is going to be, naturally, we're protectors, and we want to make sure our friends and the people we hold dear are okay, especially as they transition in and out of relationships. I understand. It's no big deal. So I know I was kind of new to your circle, and so I'm bringing the baby. She's, new baby. I bring her, and you're looking at her, and you're snapping the pictures, and you're giving T this look like something's not right here. This baby is T. This baby is really light. And so, Terrence is just, loving on the baby and everything else, and you stopped. You stopped shooting, and you looked at him, and you said, Terrence, this baby is really light. And so you were like, you're looking at Terrence, and you're looking at me, and you're like, something doesn't add up here. So funny. That's hilarious. Yeah. So you were looking out for Terrence. You were like, something's not adding up. This baby is way too... Not knowing that in my background, my mom's family, they're German and Indian. Right. They're Creole from Louisiana. So you're looking at the baby like
trying to figure it all out.
T,
what's happening?
What's going on here?
What's happening? I'll have to tell you a funny story about that too. So, I shoot a lot of babies.
Sure.
And so I have a lot of people that come from Nigeria. They come into the United States, they have babies in Houston, they stay for a little while, and they go back to Nigeria. And then they'll come back and forth. And their babies, when they're born, if both mom and daddy are from Nigeria, are a lot more significantly darker than all of our African American babies. That get here darker. And then all of the African American babies always come lighter.
Right.
But Isla was lighter still. And that's what threw me off. Because I expected her to be light, because all of my African American babies are lighter, especially than the Nigerians, because the Nigerians are dark.
Yes.
But she was lighter than what I expected her to be.
Yes.
Which is what threw me off.
You were just like, wait a minute.
I was like,
wait
what's
a
going on
minute.
here? What's
Well,
going on here?
T wasn't concerned because he's seen her grandma. Her
Right.
grandma is the same complexion with you.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're fine.
It's all
fine.
good.
It's all good. But
Yeah.
you were like, you got to where you stopped shooting and you put your hand on your
This
hip.
is so funny.
And so I didn't know your
I don't
birthday.
even remember that at
No,
all. but-
it was. I laugh about that periodically. I tell T all the time. Do you remember when Alisa was thinking that maybe this baby could have come from somewhere else? And he's like, yeah, she didn't know. She didn't know. It was pretty funny though.
It's funny.
So to say that we're sitting here together, so close, and just I lean on you for a lot of support, and
And I love you. You
Yeah,
held
and
my
I love
hand
you.
when I was having that recovery period from the heart stuff, and
I know, but
and
you're
we've
just-
gotten closer in the past 2 years than we've been.
We have. You've always been somewhere. Like, I love coming to shoot with you. You've always made me feel comfortable and everything else. That was the one time, like when we found out that we were born on the same
me.
day, it all made sense to me.
Ah,
I was like, that's why she was so protective of T, because I would have done the exact
same
same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
So when I found that out, then it was so easy to just love you and appreciate you, because I know you were just being a good person to T and making sure everything was above board, because everyone was saying, oh, okay. The family was looking at us like, oh, okay, the baby takes more after Angela's side of the family. But you don't know all those family dynamics, so you're just like, wait a
I
minute.
know. I was like, what's happening here? I shoot a lot of babies, and
You
this
stop
was not
shooting.
adding up.
This is not adding up, T. This baby is really light.
Oh,
it
and
was,
it's so
It was
funny.
funny. It
That's
was
funny.
hilarious.
It's funny that you remember that.
Yes, but you don't. I was like,
I don't remember at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna spring it on her during.
I don't
our
remember it at
Martini
all, and I'm
Talks.
glad you did. But it's
Yeah.
just funny because I do have a lot of, and I even have clients though that are with me, and they'll have multiple babies, obviously, and I'm photographing all of them. And Daddy will say, "Do you remember the first baby, Auntie A? What do you think? Do you think the baby's darker or lighter?" And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're going to get their color as soon as they see me for their 3-month or their 6-month. They'll be getting into their color. But it's funny because some of the families, they don't know that, especially the new parents. Their parents didn't teach them that. And so they'll come in, brand new baby, and they're like, oh, this baby's white. And I'm like, no, it's not. This baby's African American. But it doesn't get here that color.
Yeah.
It's got to grow into its color. You know, and also there's like little birthmarks and stuff, you know, that have like little markings that are like blue, and then they just fade away. And they're all worried about that. You know how new mommies and daddies are. They're all worried about different things.
Oh, that's right. I've seen the little markings, especially around the eyes and on the forehead and things like that. Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, but when you photograph a bunch of babies, then that's just that sort of stuff. Well, people have called me for all sorts of stuff, from breastfeeding to getting them to sleep through the night. I mean, I can't tell you, over the years, I feel like I've got a little bit of a full-time psychology little business going on, because mamas will call and go, okay, I'm sleep deprived, I don't know what to do. When is it time to feed the baby this food? What's going on? This tooth's not coming in. What do I do about blah, 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 potty training or whatever? And it's just funny. But the older you get, the more you know.
Well, you have a natural way, because I remember the way you held Isla. Like you held Isla in a way. Maybe I was a little terrified to hold her, because she was a little tiny little baby. She was like 5 pounds 13 ounces, and she had little skinny little chicken legs. She was just a tiny baby.
thing.
Yeah. But you just kind of get the babies, and you just kind of manipulate their little bodies, and they just sleep the whole time. It's like they know they're in good hands, and they just feel completely comfortable. And you put the warmer on, and they're just like, I love it here. Isla loved it. She slept through most of her shoots. She had no clue. You were shooting her, and you were just so comfortable moving these little tiny babies
I
around.
love them.
I'm terrified to do it, to be honest with you. But
If I had to choose like one photo shoot, if you were to say to me you could only shoot one thing for the rest of your life, it would be newborns. It's the hardest thing to shoot. It's like the hardest thing to shoot, because there's so many variables involved in getting them to sleep and keeping them warm and posing them properly. And if they know that you're nervous, or they feel that something's not right in the air, they pick up on that like an animal does. I mean, they know, because they're so vulnerable. So you have to be very confident, very sure about what you need for them to do, and they know if you're good or bad. I mean, they just do. And it's a hard thing. Brian's always said, he's like, why'd you have to choose
to fall in love with the hardest thing in the world to shoot. Like you could go shoot a building, you could go shoot a house, you could go make a living shooting cars and food. And I'll never forget when I got the whole restaurant stuff, when I started to shoot food and started working on food stuff years ago when I had my artist palette column. And I shot the food and I came home and I said to Brian, this food didn't pee on me. This food didn't move. This is so much easier. I can dance around the table and photograph this food any angle I want. It doesn't go anywhere. And he's like, see, I've told you for 20 something years, you've chosen to shoot the hardest thing there is, but there's a lot of challenge in that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because every baby gets here with a personality, and the personalities, I have to tell you, you know this because you're a mama, I don't have to tell you, they get here that way. So if you've got a high-strung newborn, it's going to be a high-strung toddler. And if they don't want to sleep through the night and they want to be challenging, you're going to know it when they're home in the first 2 weeks. So I already know when I see my babies brand new first time, kind of what I've got cut out for me. And some of them will do exactly what I want, and some of them are going to be absolutely pushing back, leave me alone, and scream and cry in between every single pose. And that doesn't change. That's why I was talking to another mama the other day about James Edward, talking about arranged marriages and how, you know, I might need to figure out in my client base who would be a good fit for him, like when the time comes.
Because does he know you're planning
oh
on
yeah,
arranging
oh yeah,
his
oh yeah,
marriage?
yeah.
And he's on board.
He's not on board or off board. He doesn't. He hasn't.
Let's
he's
see
not
what you come
opposed
up
to
with.
it. Right.
Let's see what you
And
come up
so
with.
I told him. I talked to her and I said, you know, there are babies that are in this client base that are now his age. That are now 18-year-olds, 19-year-old children, still, even though they're considered adults. I don't consider them adults until they're 25 and able to make it on their own and do their own thing. I mean, as long as you're dependent, you're not an adult, I don't think. That's my own thing, but whatever. That I know would be a perfect fit for him. And there are others that I know because I photographed them their whole lives, and I know that they would not, because they are not the personality that is compatible with my son. But they got here that way. Like, I photographed them their whole lives, and so it's not gotten any different. It's that you can just tell based on the personalities how they get here and how they respond to things in their environment, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And we'll see.
We need to talk about this arranged marriage.
If he doesn't leave for school, which he's not going, and he spends all of his time online studying and working from home and working for me, quite frankly, because he's going to be licensed in real estate, licensed for the family business in real estate, licensed in travel for the family business in travel, and the editor and all the stuff he's doing for the YouTube channel. How's he going to meet a girl? The place he would be meeting a girl would be at college, not at a bar. I mean, Brian and I rode the first grade school bus together. We've known each other since we were 6. So where's he going to meet this person if he's working for the family business and he's not off in a university somewhere and he's working on his degree from home? Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because we don't want him on Tinder.
Oh, he won't be on Tinder.
We don't want. I'm not sure if we want arranged marriage.
Well, and
maybe we could find something in the middle.
Well, I think what I told him was, I said, if you're 30, now we're only 18. If you're 30, and we haven't gotten anywhere with that, and of course he's got 2 mamas. He's got his nanny Mia, that's just, you know, very Latina, very old school, very everybody's got to love her, kind of thing. And he's the boy, and the only boy, right? He's got to go through 2 women to get approved before he can do that. And so here's what I'm thinking: if we're not done by 30, then I'm going to dig deep into my client base, which is very full of beautiful friends that I've, just like you, that I'm close to, some more than others. I'm more close to you. There's like a handful that call me, text me every week. Andrea's one of them. She's my partner.
She's a sweetheart.
She's been absolute wonderful friend. Yes, I'm her photographer, but it's like you. I'm your photographer, yes, but the big but is we're friends first. You know what I mean? Now, I mean, I know that's how you met me. It's the same thing with her. I mean, she brought me her children, and then it just grew. But there's a bunch of people that are really good families that we get along with, right? And we know each other well. That would be really good.
And family is so important. We always say that you love who you love, but at the end of the day, family the connection to family, making sure that your son or daughter is part of another family that is going to love on them in the right way. That's super important.
Yeah.
And sometimes we throw that out of the window. We don't think about it because we're so busy wanting to find love, and we don't necessarily look for a complete package. It should be love of that person, love of their family. Is it a good fit for me culturally? Do we have a lot in
Yeah.
common? Is it going to be a lot of conflict?
Yeah.
This sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because someone from the Midwest, like my husband's family is from the Midwest. I'm from the South. So there are a lot of we don't share a lot of common ground in terms of how
Yeah.
we view hospitality,
Right.
how we view, let's just say, conflict,
Right.
how we approach conflict.
Right.
I think in the South we're definitely warmer. We're more hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little bit more reserved
Mhm,
sometimes
mhm.
about just kind of
Yeah.
jumping into
Yeah.
these types of things. But I think it's a lot to consider. Family is very important. I can't disagree with you on that. That's what I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But I will say that long-lasting marriages,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of seems like they have to be organic.
I don't know. I've
don't-
talked to a bunch of people in the client base that are in arranged marriages because I've got a lot of clients that have arranged marriages.
Really?
Oh yeah, and the parents have made sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed, and
Okay.
that the personalities fit perfectly. And they went on dates. They didn't just get thrown together and were told they were going to marry each other. If they didn't like each other, they didn't have to marry each other. But it works. And what's great about it is that all of that other crap is done. Like the same thing that you're talking about. Like the same thing. Like if you were to go back in time, and Brian and I were not dating,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like that was an acceptable situation
Mhm,
in the world we lived in, right?
mhm.
Which we didn't. It wasn't. But let's just pretend like it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely conceivable that the firstborn of the chief of surgery in North Carolina, Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
would be paired with the baby and last son of the Murray Family Limited Partnership, Merco owning, built the whole town, real estate family.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be the perfect pairing of
Mhm.
two families coming together because we have the same socioeconomic, the parents had gone to the same hospital balls, we have the same belief in God,
Mhm.
we come from the same background.
Mm-hmm.
Mother and father on both sides came from poor,
Mm-hmm.
rural,
Mm-hmm.
made it, went to college, made it,
Mhm,
became a real estate mogul, became a surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
raised the children in the same way. And so
Mhm.
it's not like all of a sudden you're in a strange land and you've got this kid that goes to college and meets some, like, my biggest fear was I was going to go off to Spain and come home with some Spanish chick that doesn't speak any English,
Mhm.
and she's a devout Catholic and we're Episcopalian, and he's going to convert to being a Catholic, even though I don't mind Catholics. I have no problem with Catholics, but it's like I want the person who he marries, as with Victoria Ann, which has worked out beautifully, to be in the same mindset
Mhm,
about
mhm.
multiple things, because
Mhm.
otherwise there is conflict. And
It's
when
a
you make
lot.
babies, it really comes up because those people are like, at that point, they realize, wait a minute, we don't want to raise the babies like this. We want
Absolutely.
to raise a baby like that.
Mhm,
Right? And that's when the problem occurs. It's not necessarily when you're dating and all lovey-dovey and in the
Mhm.
honeymoon stage, but when you've made babies, it's like, well, wait a minute, we're going to go to this church. And you're like, well, wait a minute, no, that's not how I was raised. We're going to go to my church. And then here comes the fights.
And do you think it's because they don't have these discussions up front? Because I think a lot of things can be resolved up front. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people are novices when it comes to marriage, and they don't do all the necessary due diligence before you get married, like the counseling. How are we going to raise our kids? What religion are we going to follow? And is that important?
Well, and here's the thing.
And-
This is not
yeah.
going to sound very
Mhm,
nice, but I
mhm,
mean, you can,
mhm.
well, Nana used to say you can marry rich just as easy as you marry poor.
I've heard people say that.
Nana used to say that all the time.
Mhm.
And it's not that I walked into my marriage as a business contract, because I certainly did not, and no one arranged our marriage. I mean, Brian and I have been best friends for years, and we were in love, and we were in love when we got married.
Mhm.
We weren't planned to be put together or anything
Mhm.
like that. But when you think about, and I think now back, because we got married young, we were married 20, okay, so we've been married a long time.
Mhm.
When I think about other marriages that I'm familiar with that did not succeed,
Mhm.
they had this, like Daddy used to say, the pipe dream. They were all in love, but they weren't thinking about any of their crap. They weren't thinking about, are we thinking the same way about God? Are we thinking the same way about spanking children? Are we thinking the same way about saving money? Are we thinking about the same thing about how we want our retirement to look like? Do we believe in the same things for family vacations? How do we feel about, going out to eat at restaurants every week? Is it a once a week deal? Is it a special time after church? Or is it every other night? How do we feel about spending money on a nanny? Or is it your job to do that on top of your other job, which causes lots of strain on, unfortunately, the female of the marriage?
Absolutely.
Because we get expected to do all of it, even though we aren't really supposed to do all of it. I mean, I've put my feet down in the sand. I'm like, I am not cleaning toilets and washing clothes and wiping snotty noses and cleaning dirty diapers and cleaning out litter boxes if I'm the breadwinner. Not doing it. Not doing it. My job is to get up in the morning and make the money. And somebody else can do that job. I will pay to have that job done. That is not my job. And I'm not coming home to a dirty house.
No.
I'm not coming home to dirty children.
We do not do that.
So there has to be money allocated for that to be okay, because it's no different than husband working all day long and then expected to go and do the yard the whole weekend. The whole weekend is now spending time out in the sunshine in Texas hot 100-degree heat, mowing, pruning, trimming. No. But there's people that, if they don't align with their mind, that's where arguments start and resentments happen. And it's I see marriages fail over the smallest, stupidest crap.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you this. It's a large percentage of selfishness too that's driving people apart. I think in a marriage you have to be on common ground. You have to be clear of some things. It's okay if you need to take the time to do what you need to do to be happy.
Right.
And I think the most important thing in marriage is marrying someone who's okay with you being happy.
And you.
Like, I need you to go and be happy, doing what fulfills you. And if you are fulfilled and you feel good about you, then I know you'll be a good partner to me.
Right.
But I cannot make you fulfilled. I cannot fill you up.
It's the biggest
and I'm
mistake.
not going to deplete you.
Nope.
I'm not going to mistreat you and deplete you.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. But I'm not responsible for filling you up.
No.
That has to come through you.
Right.
You have to figure out what your purpose is and go out and fulfill it, right? And do what makes you feel good about you so you can be the best possible person you can be. And I think a lot of times people don't do it. I think they feel like by marrying this other person that I'm going to feel validated.
Yeah.
I'm going to be married.
They're going to make me happy.
They're going to make me happy. They're going to keep me happy. They're responsible for putting me on a pedestal. I've had a lot of lady friends who have said these things to me. They're responsible for putting me on a pedestal and keeping me happy. You gave me 3 kids. You're responsible for paying all these bills. You're responsible for making my life easy. You're responsible for keeping me in a good frame of mind. No, you're responsible for doing that. And I think sometimes we put too much on others. Like, we put our happiness in other people's hands when it really should come from within.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little like a bit of a cliche.
No.
But if you're happy and you're fulfilled and you're doing everything you want to do, imagine if you didn't have the opportunity to do all the things that you love to do. We're all over the place. We love everything about the outdoors. We love everything about the metaphysical. We love everything about the arts. We love music. We're just taking in everything, right? We just taking in.
No, I just married the perfect
And
man. I mean, like,
you
I
did.
married the perfect man.
And he's like, go.
Because
Go do
there's
it.
not one thing that I have said that I wanted to do in 30 years of marriage that he has not been the wind underneath the wings. He might say, well, you sure you want to do that? But he would never say, you're not going to do that. He would never say, you're not going to do that. He might not like it. He might think it's a bad idea. He might say, why don't you think about that? But he knows better than to tell me I'm not going to do that.
Well, that's a smart man.
Well, it's a smart man, but it's also a man that it's like he's saying an endorsement, okay, you have the right to feel all these different things. You want to be all these different things, and that's beautiful. Great. You think about what you think you would be successful at, or just do whatever you feel passionate about, and if it's supposed to be, it will be, or whatever. There's a lot of husbands that are not like that. I know. I've been exposed to them in the client base. I've seen them the way they treat their wives in the studio.
Oh, I couldn't take it.
And I've had to keep my
couldn't take it.
mouth pressed and my lips shut.
It's difficult
because
for us.
It is. It is. I've met plenty of people that, and oddly enough, they're not in the client base anymore. I have several that are divorced now, and she's still with me, but he's been long gone because he should have been sent out the door. He was useful for getting the child here, and that's about all he was useful for. And now it's up to our little village to take care of the babies and get them raised up right with Auntie A helping too. But there's a lot of people that don't have that support system in place, and that's the thing I love about me and you and T and B. There's not one thing that you could say you want to do that T wouldn't say go.
I'm going to tell you where he kind of puts up a big roadblock. And honey, I love you, but when people call me out of the blue and they want to buy a painting, hey, you got anything new? I'm moving. Like I have a good friend who's moving back from Seattle, and he wanted new art for his new home he's buying in Woodlands. And I said, well, I have a couple of pieces. T immediately says, absolutely not. Whatever he wants to pay for it, I'll pay for it. And I'm like, how are you going to pay for it? You're my husband. We already own it.
We already own it.
He's like, babe, I just love everything. I don't want you to sell anything.
You know, it's so funny that you said that to me because whenever
I
got ready to sell the art, I'd pulled the paintings down from the attic because it's everywhere. That's the thing people don't understand about artists that paint canvases is that it's everywhere. It's stacked up everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And it's like, it's not funny. I mean, like you could fill a full house full of paintings.
We do. My husband said that the new house is going to be full of my art. I said, babe, we have art.
And mine.
And yours. And we have lots of art from different artists because I love art.
Yeah.
And, but I've also had girlfriends, classmates, lots of people have contacted me for art. I've given them quotes, and my husband's like, I'll outbid whatever they. I don't want to sell it.
I pulled these canvases down, and I told the kids, I said, I'm selling these canvases. I'm going to put them on, my Facebook page for the alisamurray Fine Artist, and all of them. No, ma'am. Put them back in the attic. We're not selling them. I don't know what the deal is with that. They're not that passionate about my
because he bought a painting. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
I've never told you this story. This is hysterical. Sorry, honey. So he was buying a painting. I had an exhibit at the Breakfast Club, downtown Houston.
Okay.
And he saw a piece of art in there. My picture was not up. It was just strictly my art all over the Breakfast Club.
Right.
He saw this piece of art. It was like a ode to a woman's body. So basically, I took a flower and shaped it like I basically took people into a different world and had them reimagine a woman's body as a flower.
Got it.
And that's what the painting was about. The beautiful, the fullness of everything.
Right.
I'll say that for the PG audience.
Yeah.
But anyway, that painting was up in the Breakfast Club, and so he saw it for his girlfriend at the time.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I get a call from the Breakfast Club. They said there are a couple people who want to buy paintings here. Just call these people back. Because I stopped leaving business cards with my picture on it because I had heavy breathers calling me saying, hey, I want to buy some art.
Don't you hate that?
Are you married? So I stopped leaving business cards and this sort of thing. And I was like, if you're interested in buying, just please contact the Breakfast Club.
Right. That's perfect.
They reach out to me. So I connect with my husband, Terrence. And he's like, yes, I saw this painting. And it's called X, Y, and Z. I don't remember what it was called. And he was like, I'd love to buy it for my girlfriend. Sure, no problem. It's for your girlfriend. I'm going to paint the paper for her. I'm going to wrap it with a bow. I'm going to do whatever to give it the best possible presentation. If you want me to install it in her home, I will do it. I'd never met him face to face. I meet him at the Breakfast Club to talk about the painting. And we start talking. And I said, I'm sorry, I tend to be all over the place. I'm really artistic. I'm a Pisces. And he was like, oh, I'm a Pisces too. But he was in scrubs, So I was thinking, well, you're a physician. You're very focused. You don't seem like...
Right.
So I didn't think he was telling the truth. So he was like, when's your birthday? And I said, well, my birthday is February 20th. He was like, so is mine. I said, I don't believe you. Let me see your driver's license.
You did the same thing as to me.
I did the same thing to you.
You required me to show you my license
I had to.
Yeah.
And so, because I'd never met anyone with the same birthday as mine in all these years, so I needed some proof. So I asked him, he showed me his ID, and I said, okay, brother, I'm going to take good care of you. I'm going to paint the paper. I'm going to wrap your girlfriend's painting, and I'm going to paint the paper, and it's going to be special. And I just remember when I installed the painting, she absolutely loved the painting. But on my way out, Terrence was in the back, and she told me, this'll be the last painting he ever buys from you. And I just remember thinking, you are the most evil person on the planet. I made time as the artist to come and hang this in your home. I painted the paper.
Wow.
So I was setting him up for a great proposal.
Wow.
I'm thinking, if you're investing in this art, let me help you. Let me help you
Right.
get the mood right for the proposal,
Right.
not knowing what God intended for us.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I left her apartment that day thinking, okay, good luck to you guys. And 5 years later, I bumped into him at a grocery store. Bumped into him at a grocery store.
You didn't bump into him anywhere.
No, it was fate. I guess it was divine.
Always,
it was all divine.
Always. No, it really is.
I believe
it absolutely is.
Absolutely divine. So,
I was engaged to a doctor at Duke. Came home for Thanksgiving. No kidding.
Yeah.
Came home for Thanksgiving. Brian found out I was in town. Had heard through the grapevine that I was engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Told me to come to his house. And before I went back to St. Mary's, he said to me at the front door, I've been in love with you since we were 15 years old. You can't marry this doctor. You have to give me a chance. Please don't marry him. Please break off your engagement. Had I not gone home for Thanksgiving and he had not asked me to see him at his house and he had not had the you-know-whats to say that to me, we would not be married. I would have married the doctor. I would have been living in California and I would probably be divorced. Completely different deal. All a God thing.
Who would have thought Uncle P?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about some
that
serious
much finesse.
Oh, no kidding.
What about that?
Because no kidding. How much was that?
How about that?
How about that?
I didn't know Uncle B had it like that.
I didn't
How about
either.
that?
I mean, it stopped me in my tracks.
Wow.
And I went back to school. I went back to the dorm and went back to St. Mary's is not but a 30-minute drive to Chapel Hill and to Durham to Duke University, and told him, I said, I've got this childhood friend that I've been with as friends my whole life. I mean, he was in the same class with me when Mom got killed. He's known me my whole life. And he and I got separated because I was off at St. Mary's in Raleigh and he's back in Monroe where we're from. And he's asked me to give him a chance. And he says that, he's been in love with me since he was 15. And I need to do that. I need to see. This is a lifelong, I'm one and done. When I walk down that aisle before God, it's one and done. I'm not one of these people that's going to get married and get divorced and get married and get divorced. I've got lots of friends that are. But I always was trained and taught by Nana and Granny, one and done. Be sure you're ready. Be sure it's the right. Be sure. And that's the thing. And if you don't let me have that chance to see, then we're not meant to be. And he didn't want me to have that chance because he knew probably that it wouldn't be. And sure enough, he broke it off. He didn't let me go date him, knowing that if I didn't work out, I would have come back to him. He didn't even give me the chance. He showed his you-know-what. And Brian, the rest is history. But that's the reason why you met T in the grocery store, was because
I bumped into him, and it wasn't like it was like, hey, I recognize you, because T used to have dreadlocks.
I know.
So I was like, oh, I sold you a painting. It was like I didn't recognize him right away, but
right.
it came to mind. Hey, how are you? And I just remember thinking, I wonder if he made it with that lady who was a little nuts,
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking at the time. And so he was just like, hey, how you doing? Oh, good seeing you. And it was quick. And then he reached out to me on Facebook. I was like, hey, sorry about that. I was on my way to work. I was exhausted and everything else. And good seeing you. And I was like, good seeing you. Tell your girlfriend I said hello. And then he kind of said, oh, we're not together anymore. We should go out for coffee. And so he asked me a few times. And I think I was thinking, I don't want to have a run-in with the... Yeah. But he kept emphasizing that that's not...
happening
that was
anymore.
Not that's not happening. It's not from I tell everyone, when we went to lunch the first time, it lasted 6 hours. We were just supposed to have a quick lunch, and we talked for 6 hours, and it was just kind of meant to be. But I think he sees my art as very special, And I tell them all the time, you need to go back and get my piece of art. You worried about keeping all the art that I'm creating,
Right.
right? All the new stuff, you won't let me sell it.
Right.
How about going and getting my art back from that lady who didn't appreciate it?
Right. No
And
kidding.
he's like,
He's like, no. Water under the bridge. Make a new one. You know how you made it the first time. Make another one.
he's like, no,
No,
I'm just not doing that.
No.
But it's pretty funny. But he doesn't. He will not allow me. He will not allow me to sell any of these paintings. He will not
So funny.
do it. If someone offers $2 million, he's going to offer 3. He will not allow me to sell this art. He's just a big fan, and he loves it. And he's like, why don't you just make it for our house? And I'm like, it's to be shared. There's some pieces I do that I have to keep because they're just my babies, and there's some I can turn loose because I just feel like they should be shared with someone else and appreciated. So I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do. Yeah, except that all the stuff that I was wanting to turn loose like you, the family said no. They put a big stop sign on that one and said no.
Oh, the kids
Oh yeah,
too.
the kids too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's just forget about
And
it.
it's just interesting, whenever you're an artist and living with an artist and being an artist and you don't know, you're affecting everyone around you with your
Absolutely.
art. It's so funny, whether it be the photography or the paintings or the whatever it is that we're doing. People are affected by it in a different way. Stuff that you don't even think they even care about. When it comes time to getting rid of it, they're like, oh no. It has to stay. We're not selling it. We're not getting rid of it. We want it to stay here because it's a part of you. And that's what it is.
And a lot of times, like you moved into this space and you made it your own, but I'm sure you had to do it at rapid speed. Like for me, I have to have everything in order when I move into a space, and it has to be aesthetically pleasing for me, right? T doesn't understand that, so he's like, oh, let's just take our time, we'll
work on it
and we'll unpack it. Like, no, I need it. Like when I wake up in the morning, I need to blink and everything needs to be where it needs to be. It's just a crazy artist thing. I don't know how you feel about that. I
When
think
Harvey
you're the same
happened,
way.
it was crazy because I was so frustrated because it was just taking forever and I wanted everything redone and fixed immediately, and the whole house was upside down, just upside down, because the tornado hit the ceiling, the roof, and the rooms were leaking, and the ceilings were crashing, and the floors were messed up, and people were in and out of here all the time, and it was and every room had to be redone, and I was just losing my mind because I can't think in the chaos. There's always enough chaos going on in my brain with projects to do and things I want to do and things that I'm thinking about doing and things that are still in baby stages that I'm simmering on that will then reveal themselves to me later, that I don't need any chaos in my environment. Like, I need my environment to be peaceful, and that's what it is.
And everything needs to have
its own place. Yeah. You're not
so
alone.
you're going to have to help me as as we're in the midst of this transition.
Yeah.
Because T is okay with everything just being, just sitting somewhere until we're ready to put it in its right place. Like literally, when I walk in the door, everything needs to be in the right place. So I don't know if it's a sickness in my brain, but it's like I just can't be
it's
settled.
you and I against him.
Yes.
It's you and I against him.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah,
that works.
No,
yes.
no, I don't believe that we need to leave things in boxes.
I cannot do it. I can't do it. Or I don't feel settled. I don't feel like it's my space, right? It needs to be, everything needs to have a place. Just so I can have some peace of mind and so I can do all the different things that I need to do. So I'm going to need you to talk to him about
I will.
that, please.
Of course.
Okay.
I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you for being in my life. You're just so wonderful. You guys don't know. You don't know unless you have friends that are like my friends. They're people that are they just instinctually know when you need them to be near you. And if you're lucky enough to have friends like that in your life, you are lucky indeed. Because it is a special thing to be friends with you. I want you to know that.
Special. I love you.
I
dearly.
love you.
Yes. Thank you for
I know
having
that
me.
you love me and I love you. And we love each other. We've shared that a lot. But, there's something to be said for that. It's not just, you can say you're friends with somebody. And then there's a whole different level of that. And I'm just really, 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 really very happy, very pleased that you came and visited today and did this and supported my business with the YouTube channel. And although we don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, we will.
You will.
We will.
You will. It's coming.
We will.
It's coming.
We will.
It's coming.
I have
It's coming.
positive energy and the belief that I'm doing the right thing and
You
we're helping
are.
people and empowering them, and it'll be good. It's all good. But I really appreciate you doing that. So
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yep. Listen, guys, if you found any value in listening to our conversation, which I know for a fact I did, even though I was a part of it, and there were so many wonderful nuggets in there about marriage and parenting and life in general and being an entrepreneur and so much more, please do me a favor and like and share. Don't forget to ring that bell so that you're notified each week when we drop a new episode. And we'll see you soon on Martini Talks. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.